Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of Gary Seven's lava lamp. It was a nice one. It was good. It was good. Giraffe's all excited about Gary Seven and the supervisors. Vice Admiral Eric is here, ready for all the Will Wheaton action. Captain,
Why are you saying it like that?
Why? Will Wheaton?
Why?
Why? Why?
Whales.
Whales. Captain Hawk is here with a well-placed WTF in our chat earlier. Sub-Commander Giraffe is here and has perfected the art of typing. Get to episode 9 already. And command.
So good for so long.
And Commander MC is here, ready to get on that group hug with Zero. Welcome back. How we doing, guys?
Exhausted from watching 10 episodes in a row.
Marathons.
We made
Now
it
you
happen.
feel what I felt. I watched 20 in a row.
In French.
In French. Well, it's my native language, so
I
it's not
know.
as hard.
I know, but you told us like it's different.
Oh, yeah, it's just
like,
weird.
Weird.
But we were also scared that they would disappear
Right,
into
at
the
any
night
time.
and we just
Yeah.
like binge them.
Oh my god, amazing. So this week, folks, we are talking Star Trek Prodigy's first 10 episodes. How have all of the kids grown or regressed over the past 10 episodes? How is Admiral Janeway juggling having Jellicho breathe down her neck for all of these episodes? Has Chakotay been rescued and saved? Wesley, Nova Squadron Crusher, he's back and better than ever. We're going to break it all down. But first, Hawk. We need to thank our amazing patron collective members at the Ready Room level and above, please.
Absolutely. Thanks once again to Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kang Wee, Takako Nagumo, Fernanda Nogales, SMK, Laura Linderman, Colin Davidson, Shatterhand 2049, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, Anar, Maggie Light, Tyrannokilicus, Wayne Ritz, Scone of Arc, Sean, Jay Howard, Anna Yurdadon, Mahalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Davey Willett, Tara Paulin, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Joshua Miller, Aaron W., Lanky Guy, Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, Meredith, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, Kilt Check, Sedanos 317, Puka Hair, 3 Fries Short, Cat Tip, Tripping the Reed Alert Over a Pineapple, Sean Manning, Asher CBF, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, Norman Buckwald, David Prime Hildebrand, Taryn J. Robinson, Ensign Lexapro, Eric the Red Trouble, Jamie Roberts Honeyberry, and Paul Taylor Pitt. Thank you.
Woo, woo, woo. Thank you so much. Y'all freaking rock. As always, a big thank you to our Badmirals, our executive producer, Simon Stager, Commander Chris, the Chief Ernesto Castagna, Chris Waterman, and Tara Polin. Yeah, you make our Borg transwarp conduits keep running and all that fun stuff. Our Wesley Crusher euphemisms funnier. I don't know.
In simpler terms, you make us strong, you make us go.
I like that. You make us strong, you make us go. That was beautiful. Well
Poetry.
done,
Why are
Hawk.
we getting so
It's
sentimental?
part of the slam poetry group with Shax.
Yeah, let's go. We will briefly go through the news because we have a lot to talk about tonight. Same news as on Monday. We're going to Vegas. We're going to party. It's going to be fun. Giraffe's going to Baycon this weekend. Go see her talk about bugs. Because
There are already people taking up my offer to buy me a drink.
There you go.
It works.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, and then I'm sad I'm missing you talk about bugs. I want to see you talk about bugs. That's it.
Can record it.
Yeah. Heroes and villains. You know, it's not like we recorded these episodes on the same day or something. We did. This shirt, I wore it the last episode. I'm wearing it this episode. Heroes and villains, they have other really awesome shirts as well. And bags. And like if you're a Star Wars fan as well, their Star Wars stuff is out of this world. Their X-Men stuff is amazing. We love Heroes and Villains. 20% off using our code STRANGE, getting your first order off of that code. Eric,
You went out of the world with Star Wars, but you didn't go with excellent for X-Men? Come on, man.
Oh, that's what I
Oh.
keep you for. Well done. Also,
I'm too. My brain is
Get off
burnt.
my
I can't like
that was good.
process anything. Your shirt is in Latin. It means I always explore. Good
Yeah,
job.
it's good. Yeah, let's go exploring. Let's go explore episodes 1 through 10 of Star Trek Prodigy, shall we? I can do a transition. Our order tonight will go Hawk, Giraffe, MC, Eric, followed by myself. Someone will get skipped tonight. I don't know who. Hopefully
It's
not
probably
MC,
gonna be me.
because she's gonna yell at me at some point. Really quickly, because we're going to talk about a lot of this through, but I want to get everyone's quick initial thoughts on the first half of the season. Hawk.
First half of this initial season, and there's been ups and downs. There's been some great moments. We've talked about in our last one about how sometimes they might be leaning a little too hard into some tropes from Star Trek, whereas like first seasons tended to reinvent them. But first half of the season, I really did enjoy because, well, let's face it, we got one hell of a twist at the end of it, right?
Yeah, fair.
Get to episode 9.
Get to episode 9.
Get to episode 9.
Get it now. Giraffe.
First of all, because I watched the whole season, I binged it like several times. The first 10 episode was not really a thing for me. It was like to the first reveal and then to the end, let's say.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, I think it was not exactly what I expected from Prodigy. I think it was very complicated. It took me quite a rewatch to figure out the different plots that were going on. There's a lot of change of pace and a lot of change of objectives throughout these first 10 episodes. So it was complicated to get into the timey-wimey for me, especially operating once in French and once in English. I think the end of episode 10 really marks the start of another season, almost. So yeah, I can't wait for you guys to watch another. Now I'm gonna get to 20.
Oh, yeah,
But
we're
yeah,
definitely
no,
going to get that.
I think I'll rewatch it again because I've not wrapped my head around like everything that happens in this first half of the season.
Yeah, fair. MC?
I enjoyed the first half of the season. I definitely think like I can see why Giraffe was really bugging us to get to episode 9. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I feel about all of that, and we'll get into that when we get to talking about specific characters. I like some of the things that have happened so far, and then other things that have happened I really disliked. I'll just put it like that. I mean, that sounds so wishy-washy, but it's like some of the things were good, and then some things were really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. Eric?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun first half of the season. I thought the kids were gonna spend a little more time apart before them becoming a group again. So that was sort of, I don't know, that sort of came out of the blue for me. That being said, there were some fun things, especially at the end. The 8, 9, and 10 I really enjoyed as like like into each other. So that was really cool.
My deep notes of episode 8. We watched so many episodes today.
Yeah, it's fun. If this is the boring half, like Giraffe says,
I didn't say it was
not the boring half,
half,
but the part that just is up into the sounds like the second half is more exciting for
the second half is bonkers.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it because I've only watched the 10 so that we could record this tonight. It's fun.
I said start a list of everything that Janeway tries to blow up.
Everything.
Because
Isn't that just
she blows up already a bunch of stuff in first half.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
She does. She
I
really
mean,
does.
that's the Janeway.
It is
There's the Janeway. Yeah, when she was like, "I'm the torpedoes," I was like, "Yes, let's go."
Yeah. It was hit or miss for me. There's some stuff that I really enjoyed in these first 10. We said it off mic. I'll say it here. This first half also had one of my least favorite episodes of Star Trek in it. We'll get into it.
I know which one you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh yeah, we know which one.
It was good. You know, my biggest complaint about these first 10 episodes is that there wasn't enough Chakotay. Like Chakotay's like the big thing at the end and like of season 1 and getting talked about a lot and find Chakotay, and then that's like the big deal in the first 2 episodes. And then Chakotay gets forgotten about and Solum get forgotten about, and then they go
Mhm.
off. Like my biggest issue with these first 10 episodes is that I feel like the second season, the sophomore season of the show, has a bit of an identity crisis. It doesn't know if it wants to be episodic or serialized, and that threw me off a little bit. So,
A lot of
I don't-
plots.
yeah,
I don't know if Chakotay was forgotten, but Solum definitely was.
yeah,
Very much so. Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
very unfortunate.
After episode, what I want to say 2 or 3.
Three.
after
or
three,
After 3.
pretty
After
much.
3. Can I
Yeah,
actually like just speak about Solum for like a second, or is it?
yeah.
part
Go
of
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, like that's what we're talking about, which is like to me very interesting. Is that whatever happens anyway, it has to happen this way. Like the thing that I didn't understand is that how Gwen going to Solum doesn't create a time paradox anyway, because she's trying to avoid the destruction of Solum. So, but if the destruction of Solum post first contact doesn't happen, then the whole Tar Samora, the Diviner, and so on doesn't happen also. So I'm just like, yeah. And so anyway,
It's
like,
weird because they sort of tried to explain it early on in the season, and then it didn't really fit well for me. Their
Yeah.
For
explanation.
me, but then like everything that happens after that kind of throws it out the window. So it was just weird. Yeah,
so that's what I
Don't-
mean. Like for like that first like half of the season, you're just like, wait, is it
Yeah.
supposed to be a mess anyway? So yeah,
Well, and that's the other thing too is I feel like the kids should all be going out of phase as well, because if all this doesn't happen, then they all don't end up together and don't meet each other, and they wouldn't end up. It's so weird.
but they're still born, and she does say, or he does say, or I don't remember who says that, but
Right.
that everybody that she touched, Wesekasha says that everything that she touched, everybody she was part of their life will disappear also, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, but yeah, so a bit
Back to the Future.
literally a bit back and forth. These first 10 episodes, we're gonna get into it. So if you've watched our half season reviews or our full season reviews, sometimes it's easier just to go and do it through each character, and that's what we're gonna do tonight. So I went in alphabetical order, and that means we're starting with Doll. Doll has a rough go in these first 10 episodes. Not really fitting the Starfleet mold, dealing with the Infinity snafu, botching the Chakotay rescue, and then not really being respected by his friends after they steal Infinity again, as he tries to kind of like take a command role, and they're like, no, you're not the captain, dude. Even when Gwyn is involved, it's just not working for him. What have we thought about Doll these first 10 episodes, Hawk?
Doll, yeah, I pointed out that I'm more sympathetic to Doll than a lot of people are, and that they throw him into a situation where he's expected to be kind of a different person than, in Starfleet Academy, they want him to be studious and academic and dive into books and that, but he is not that guy. He is a stargazer. He's a dreamer. He has an inflated sense of ego, which you kind of think is like a fake it till you make it kind of attitude with him. Although he is that person who seems to be the linchpin of the group, and he does, he has a mistrust of authority, which is just natural for the circumstances he grew up under. So even when he's in like a very structured, semi-militaristic setting and that, such as Starfleet.
Starfleet's not a military. What?
What are you talking about, man?
I'm sorry. Explorers.
It's a
He's-
quasi-militaristic science cult.
That's perfect.
That's a quote from my
From
lower
your-
deck spec
yeah.
script.
It is.
He's mistrustful, and in certain situations it works for him because it unveils a plot that he didn't know about. Not a plot, but a side mission that really Janeway should have looped them in on from the beginning. That headstrongness gets him into some pretty tough situations. An early pre-launch of that shuttle for this mission, which is critical, ends up screwing up the universe. Dahl feels it falls on him and the rest of the Protostar crew and that to fix everything. Like I said, he is that person who will go into a situation like cowboy diplomacy. And he in a lot of times it works, a lot of times it doesn't. He screws up a lot, as we see in this. That episode where they finally do meet Chakotay, he ends up really he was the one who ended up causing that whole time divergence and that by getting a phaser rifle blasted out of his hands. The 10th episode was kind of surprising because he as a mischievous kid does, he will look, when he's not told not to, and he looks into his own future and he sees something that he doesn't like, and it's growth, and I found that kind of very interesting.
Ooh, and I didn't like that moment either.
Mm.
I didn't like it at all. Yeah. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Treff.
I like Dahl. I like Dahl because, he has ambition because he doesn't have identity. And that's the thing he's trying to find. But he's too young to know what he's trying to be. And so for him, identity has been Starfleet, right? And being the captain of the Protostar is the first time where he was like actually having a goal, having a place, having an existence that was not dictated by others to him. And then he discovers that, he's nobody, literally, that he doesn't have parents, that he was born in a petri dish, that he doesn't have a culture, that he doesn't have a species, and that he's alone. And from there, he goes back to, I'm the captain. This is the thing I've done. And people looked up to me and wanted me to be that. And that's where I felt like I existed. And he goes into this. So, Gwen has the whole thing. I'm going to Solum. I'm vowing Nakat. I'm doing rituals. I'm meeting my father. Rock has the whole thing with the Cetacean ops and the animals. And so like Jenkam has this thing. Murph definitely has his thing. Same for Zero. Zero finally becomes, what they wanted to be, I suppose. And Dahl is still there, and nobody stops for a second asking him, are you okay?
That's true. Not once this season are people like, are you all right, dude? Like, you're kind of except Rock, but Rock does it in like an accusatory way. Like, dude, like, I don't want to be a part of like your shenanigans.
And the whole thing, like the shenanigans, were where he existed, and I think it's like he's kind of a tragic character in a place that he's really trying to be somebody and to go back to that thing. And fair, he's a kid, like he has not found something else. So the chair is his identity. He wants the chair because he exists when he's in the chair. That's the only moment he existed. And the thing is that this thing is like again and again taken away from him, because instead of showing him how to get to the chair, he just goes back to, well, no, I know how, because if I don't know how, then I don't exist, and like this struggle that he doesn't identify, and he keeps messing up. Like the phaser rifle was his fault, but not his fault, to be honest.
No, I actually had a great conversation with Cecily after watching this episode, and how that was just one of those unfortunate butterfly effect situations, right? Like no way to know that would have happened.
But
Not Doll's
imagine like
fault at
this
all.
being like
Right.
eats up a doll. Like Jencom starts the ship. Well, he's the one boasting because again, he's like the one that received the secret. Like he's dean of like he's like dignified because like people trust him, you know. And then he gives up the secret, and then Jencom starts the thing, and then the phaser rifle happen. But Jencom is the one that gets them out of jail. Like you know, there's like it keeps slipping away from him, but he's always here to save the other people on his crew. Is like, I'm not gonna leave them behind because again, that's how he is. That's who he is. And I feel that it's kind of like hard for me to see Dal like having these captain shirt taken away from him when he sees like the future. But sure, he was gonna look like, oh, come on, you wouldn't have
Of course,
looked.
no, of course. It's not that I didn't like the moment. I like that he looked. I think it's a great way to set up the rest of that guy of the season. I just don't like how he reacts.
Well, I understand why he reacts like that. Because then what? And for fair, like when that happened, I was like, what are they? Because some other characters, you're like, oh, for sure, that's they're gonna be in Starfleet. You know, that's them. You know, and I'm like, who's gonna be who is Dahl? Like, where
Do you
does
want my
he
hot
fit?
take? Do you want my hot
Yeah,
take? I don't think Dahl's
Section
going to be.
31.
No, I don't think that Dahl's going to be in Starfleet.
Well, that's the
Mhm.
thing. But then he doesn't know anything else, also.
Right.
You know, and like, he's after everything he's gone through, it's just sad. Like I
Yeah.
feel for him. I want him to find something he's excited about, but also good about, because that's the thing. He's very excited about the chair, but it's clearly not for him, and he knows it. And then he knows it double, you know, because he feels it, but then it's proven to him. And then what? What do you do when you're not part of the group?
Right.
So yeah.
Great insight, Giraffe. Well done. MC?
Here's the thing. Not everybody is Starfleet. Not everybody has to be Starfleet. Dahl is not Starfleet, and that's totally fine. He could still be a captain because I do think actually that Dahl does have a way with people. Like he is kind of the leader of his group, even if at many points during the season, his friends are very much denying that because his friends are Starfleet. And I think like Dahl could probably have a very nice career for himself. Like Cassidy Yates, like being the captain of like a shipping vessel. And there's even like more adventurous ones that he could be a part of. But Starfleet, there's a certain standard that I don't think that Dahl is interested in meeting, and that there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. Dahl has never been my favorite character. I thought he was fine in the first season. It's like, because you're always going to have a character who's going to start making, you know, who has to make that sort of hero's journey. And as some, you know, he's the central character in a kid's show. So of course he's going to have to evolve over time. But I feel like so much of the character development he had in season 1 is gone in this season. And it bothers me. I mean, and we talk about this, or I talk about this quite a bit in our episode 1 and 2 review. So I won't repeat things now, but kind of eventually I kind of got to be like Dahl's friends, and I just really tried to ignore what he was doing because I didn't feel like it was influencing things too much, and he just felt really easy to ignore. On the Dahl leaving the phaser rifle for Chakotay to get, I have nothing really to say on Dahl actually leaving it, but I'm going to put this here because I don't know where else I would put it. The fact that this is such a huge time fiasco, I think, and this is going to be my theory, it's because it's a predestination paradox that got messed up.
I agree with that, by the way. Yeah. By predestination paradox, you mean like
They
everything
were always
is-
supposed to go back.
Yeah, yeah.
The Bell riots.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
what? The Zephyrin Cochrane, the test run.
Right. Yep. Yep. Eric.
I like that theory. I also agree with that. Dal, I like Dal this season. I like that the BS that we saw in the first 2 episodes sort of goes away slowly. But I like that he doesn't know his place. I think that's interesting as a person who's personally I feel like I'm always just a kid trying to figure out where I'm gonna go next. Like, and that feels very real amongst them. I understand they're his friends, right? They're all really set in their little tracks. They know where they want to go. But Dal's sort of like all over the place. So if he wants to be captain again for the ship that they stole again, like I can't blame them for being like, you can't be captain. You're the F up here. you're sort of all over. I do like that he cares so much about his friends and he's constantly trying to do them right as he goes through this thing. And I don't think early Dal in season 1 would have done that. Like he has some of his progression from the first season, not everything. Like he's not that assertive captain he was by the end of season 1, but I think the situation's really different now in season 2 for him. That being said, like by the end of episode 10, when he did look into that future and he realized he's not going to be captain, yeah, it's not for Starfleet's not for everyone. He seems like someone that would really gel with the archaeologist guild. Right? Like he would go off
I
on
thought the same thing.
he would go off on adventures and just try and do all that. Like, so at the end of this series, I expect him to meet up with Petra Aberdeen, or that was her name, right?
Yeah, Petra
Yeah,
Aberdeen.
why not? That would be amazing. Yeah, I'm interested to see where he's going, especially now that he knows that he's not going to be a captain. Like, does he start second guessing himself? It's very fascinating. Draft tummy. No, don't tell me.
Yeah, I mean, like it's no secret how Eric and I felt about Dahl at the beginning of season 1, and at this point it's also no secret how we felt about him at the beginning of season 2. I'm not a fan of the BS. I'm honestly not a fan of him through 1 through 10. I just think I don't know how to say this without being mean. I think that they don't quite know what to do with him because there's a lot more interesting characters on the show. And I don't find Dahl terribly interesting. Like everybody else, like Dahl became interesting at the end of season 1, and I feel like he's not now. Now all these characters that we also love have become more interesting because they do have their thing. And I could counter my own thought by saying, well, that's the whole point of his journey in this episode is he's again trying to find his thing. I'm just not feeling it, and I'm not here for it. Like I'm so much more through these 10 episodes invested in Gwyn, for example, even though it was mostly ignored after episode 3, trying to figure out Solum, Murph, learning new things about Murph. Like Murph's interesting again this season. Rock, I'm going to talk about Rock too. Like Rock is trying to be like the model Starfleet officer. Zero is a living, breathing organism now. Like, just Wesley Crusher, Time Lord showed up. Like, there's just so many other interesting things happening in the season than there's Dahl. And is how I felt. I feel like I'm just feeling how I felt about Dahl last season again, and it stinks a little bit. Let's move on to Gwyn, who hasn't had it easy by any means either, but not for a lack of trying by any means. The mission to Solum goes horribly wrong. No small part in thanks to Dahl, right? Like not no, but like really not like entirely Dahl's fault, but like it factors into it, unfortunately. She does have that bittersweet, if not lovely reunion with her father, which if you listen to our episodes 1 and 2 episodes, don't necessarily all agree on how that went down. loses both a verbal and physical battle with Essentia, right? Partly she loses because she starts going out of phase, so she was actually going to beat her, but whatever. And then is thrust into having to deal with being someone who's doesn't belong in the universe, right? Like she never exists. She's traveling, phasing in and out of time for most of these 10 episodes. Thoughts on Gwyn and her journey so far, Hawk?
Yeah, I mean, like if anybody's had it the roughest this season, I'd say it's Gwen. All that pressure heaped on her and that to prevent a civil war that she knows will devastate this planet. Finding out that like Essensia's already gotten there, and as I said, poison the waters. I see Essentia more as the person who started the division, and that more than like anything that was there before her. Like this she was the one who sowed the seeds of like the distrust of the outer worlds and Starfleet in particular. And Gwen is left with very little choice because her ride gets evaporated very quickly. The scene with the father, I know like we've talked about how it should not be that easy to forgive him for everything and that, but what it represented to me was basically she got a snapshot of what life could have been like in that, if there hadn't been that civil war and that, and the kind of person that her father was before, and that happened. These things, when the loss of like your home and your community and your people and that, it changes people, and it changed him, obviously. And yes, losing like both the verbal and the physical battle to Essentia and that. Due to Doll, yes, let's put blame where blame is due in that, because it was Doll's fault. And now she is literally out of, she is literally not belonging like in anywhere, and needs a device just to keep her body stable. She has the roughest ride this in the first half of this season. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Giraffe?
I'm a bit disappointed by what Gwen gets to do in that first half. Basically, they robbed her from a lot of her agency because now she's tethered to that thing, and she's yet again sad for something else. I don't know. It just end of season 1, Gwen was so absolutely cool and full of agency. And now, well, she is again under her father for emotional reasons this time. She is linking herself to him because he's here for her and he helps her. And then to the group of misfits, right? So I feel the only moment where she gains back a little bit of her, I don't know how to say that in a PG-13 way, but cool fighting abilities.
What was the word you were gonna use?
Badassery.
We don't have to bleep that. Yeah, total badassery. Yeah.
Badass B.
Is when she's with Wesley, and gets to manipulate like time, and even there she follows a lot. I miss like Gwen being the interpreter, the one that takes lead. She's very anxious, she's very sad, but normal, right? She failed her mission. I was not really enthralled by what she gets to do in this first season. Again, in first part of the season. Again, I think Essentia was way more interesting, and because again, agency. I feel that's really what was missing, or clear agency. But yeah, she follows a lot in this season, in this first 10 episodes.
Yeah. MC?
Oh, it's bad that I follow Giraffe all the time because I always feel like I'm just like, I agree with Giraffe.
I do the same after you.
But it's hard not to.
Gwen, unfortunate, and I hate that this is the word that comes to my mind with Gwen after the first 10 episodes, is damsel. There's quite a bit of damseling for her because she's in Harold. And Gwen in season 1, like she, like Giraffe said, badassery. Like she was very cool, could do a lot of stuff. And we haven't really gotten to see that after, she finished with the battle with Essentia in episode 2. We don't really get to see any more of that. And it's more about the fact that, oh no, she's Marty McFlying out of existence. And also having like these soulful looks with Doll.
Oh my God,
And
yes. Like the hand thing. Oh,
yeah.
I
And
like the hand thing.
well, yes, but you are a hopeless romantic.
I know.
I don't have a problem with the hand thing if there's something else, but right now that's all there is.
Yeah,
Totally
that's
agree,
the
though.
thing.
Yeah.
She's got the 2 modes right now. It is, the pining twilighty thing going on with Doll that they have not actually like said out loud, and then her, being sad about, not existing. So I'm hoping in the back half we're going to see more of Gwen being the Gwen that we saw in season 1, but it's very frustrating to have 10 episodes that we only see like a little tiny bit of that.
Agreed.
Eric?
I agree. It does.
Next.
I'm sad
Pass.
that I loved everything on Solum. So the fact that she got sort of robbed of that storyline, like she left right away, like that sucks. And I liked her there. I like the idea that she was there trying to, do her thing. Although she did seem very unsure of herself, and she seemed very sure of herself at the end of last season, like when she was going off to do this. So I thought that I don't know. She's just seemed a little more unsure of herself in this season. Her being out of phase, I thought was a really neat concept. The idea of time wraiths is hunting someone out of time was very DC comics, and I'm pretty sure that's what they call them in the Flash, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
time wraith. They enforce the Speed Force. So I like the idea that something is hunting her, but I feel like she would have been more like Linda Hamilton in Terminator, like going forward and being like, we got to figure something out. Let's kick this into gear. So I do. She is very damselly in this, and it seems so out of character from last season. So yeah, I don't know. Even her hologram was,
super
scared.
damselly. Like
So
yeah.
I don't know. It was weird. That being said, I hope some of that urgency comes back in the second half. It feels like her meeting Wesley is sort of something that will kickstart it. So I'm hoping. Giraffe's looking at me like, no, you're wrong. So I don't know.
I didn't say anything.
You're making a face.
Hopefully, or that's just Giraffe's face. I don't know.
Just my resting giraffe face.
Fair.
RGF. Let's go.
RGF.
I need to go back to Doll very quickly because I don't know another opportunity I'm going to get to say this. I am hopeful for Doll in 11 through 10 because Doll needs somebody. And I think that Chakotay is going to end up being like a father figure for him. And I think that's going to be really important. And I think that is going to gain that kid's confidence back. And if Giraffe's given the same face. So I feel like
Stop spoiling it for us, Giraffe.
It's the resting spoiler face.
I didn't say anything.
Anyway,
Don't you have all the episodes? Just watch all the episodes.
As far as Gwen's concerned, I'm really mad that she's with the gang this season because I was really hopeful that it would be the gang minus Gwen, and Gwen was really, she had her own arc the entire season trying to figure out Solum, and it would be kind of one of those like back and forth like TV do. I know it's harder to do with 23-minute episodes, but I really thought that's what we were getting. So the fact that the Solum thing literally happened in basically an episode and a half, and then she's gone and she's with the crew, and she's basically become like a Beverly Crusher or Deanna in like TNG seasons. Like she has. I'm just saying it's a harsher way of saying what you guys have already.
Yeah.
but it's true. Like
It is.
she, she does one kind of like really big thing, and she pilots the ship during like the race and does it really well, right? Like, you know, there's like so much sulking, like, oh, I miss my heirloom, and
She
I
figures
I
out
miss
a part
God.
of the number thing.
The number thing too. Yeah, no, she does. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, she definitely does some things, right? And I think it's between her, Jenkum, and Rock who help like kind of translate Murph, right? So
Operation
Operation Translate Murph.
WTF.
Yeah. Oh my
Murphy
God,
saying.
it's so good. But yeah, no, man, Gwyn is like, I think Gwyn's the best character on the show, and she's just been relegated to like C and D character in this. And even though she's actually the focus, like I would say that Gwyn and Chakotay, I think they said it on the show already, are the keys to everything. Like Gwyn and Chakotay are connected, like they're the keys to Giraffe making the face again.
I literally
I
isn't.
don't.
I'm
I don't.
not.
I don't.
I
I
am
don't.
Giraffe,
not.
turn off your camera.
Turn off your camera, Giraffe. No, I'm kidding.
No, screw up the overlay.
No, don't turn off your camera. No, anyway, I'm really disappointed in Gwyn's arc because what we did see on Solum was gorgeous, really well thought out. Even though as we talked about last week or a few days ago, like a little bit tropey, I still thought it was really well done. So I really hope we get back to more Gwyn, and as Giraffe put it, her badassery ways in 11 through 10.
Can I add though? The problem is Michelle.
Yeah,
Because
and
they have two characters now that are kind of the same.
Mm,
it's a good, yeah. Well, let's talk about Majel, because the gang do get a new partner this season. Vulcan cadet and Nova Squadron member Majel. What a beautiful tribute to Majel Barrett, by the way. At first she's kind of very much an enemy of the gang because she's trying to do like right by Starfleet and Jellicho. But it is just kind of like thrust into working them both involuntarily and then voluntarily. And eventually joins them kind of as like sixth member, as Wesley points out at the end. He's like, it was never 5, it was always 6. Like she becomes part of this new Scooby gang. There also definitely seems to be, and I'm gonna see Giraffe's eyes roll in a second, a budding romance between Zero and Majel. So thoughts on the new edition, Hawk?
Yeah, I do like Majo. Didn't at first with the first couple episodes, not because Nova Squadron, not, and I thought it was going to be like kind of that stereotypical Vulcan, not who's just adherent to the rules, not just logic, but much more flexibility to the character than you would think. And yes, it's, I do kind of like that. It is a little bit of new blood that gets added to the gang this season, the core gang at least. And yeah, the connection between her and Zero is very apparent, actually, from the first interaction. I think. Yeah, when they,
It's like how we all felt like when Saru and Tarita first met. It's like, oh, that's gonna be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little more subtle with them, but like this was like, you could see it right off the bat, what it was pushing towards. So, yeah, I'm curious to see where the next 10 episodes takes her with the gang.
Yeah. Giraffe.
So I really like Michelle. I do. But it's very, the gang gets a Vulcan girl, and we've seen that already, though.
Wait. There she is.
Yeah.
Sidebar, she was signing, she asked if you wanted it done.
We're
She was
speaking about
signing her
killing.
autographs in, Gabriel Ruiz in purple to go with the drink things if people wanted it, and she did. So pretty cool.
Nice.
Anyway, sidebar over.
So, yeah, I was like, oh, okay, we're getting a Vulcan woman. Okay, like we never seen them for like 60 years, and now they're in every single series, huh? As long as they don't get shot on the bridge, we're good. Big up to Tivin. I like the character, but definitely for me, it felt sometimes as a place filler for Gwen because she could not be here, and they needed somebody with that energy to kick the gang into doing the right thing, and the one being the one that knows the role, and the one being the adult, and so on. And so when they're on Solum, I felt like she's the one. Like, definitely, she was saying things that Gwen would have said if she had been here. You know, we be careful of like temporal incursion and like hiding her ears and so on, which I found it was like, not a durag, but was cool.
No, it was
And
great. Total search for Voyage Home. So many Voyage Home references this season. I love it.
Mm.
yeah, and so yeah, I really really like the character, but I think she's also the reason why Gwen is relegated a little bit in another position in the story, because two of them at the same time would be just redundant. And I don't really know how this was decided, if Gwen was supposed to stay on Solum and then, Majel be more of that force in the group, and then it didn't happen. I don't know, but I think Majel is epic. The character design of that character is absolutely great. I hate the romance with Zero. I hate it. I hate it so bad. I don't want it. Please stop. Uh I because I just, when they all walk into the light and they all held hands 2 by 2, the couples, I was just like, oh, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I don't care. It's yeah. Anyway, I'm also kind of sad that like this character just arrives and like a big piece of her motivation are zero. Is
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's all. Like, that's her whole motivation. Is like to be with Zero. I'm like, she's pretty cool. I would have liked her to have her own plot about why she's doing that and not, getting a piece of green, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. MC?
For once, I can say that I don't agree with Giraffe.
Yay! Division in the group.
Yeah, no, I mean, every time they bring in like an awesome Vulcan woman, I am here for it. And I really like Michelle. And I think I said in the Discord, Michelle is the first character on Prodigy that I actually think I really want to cosplay. Mostly, I want to make the wig. I think that would actually be
Wig would be
a
really
cool wig
cool.
to make.
Mhm.
Yeah. I do understand what Giraffe is saying about Michelle and Gwen kind of filling the same role, because I did think of that a couple of times, and I think they kind of call it out in the first couple of episodes, with Dahl being very hesitant about Michelle, mostly because she's not Gwen. And I think that is why they had them be such, close characters, just for that small bit of, Dahl being able to be like, you're not my real girlfriend. And that is a bad reason for them to do that. Because I think they could have found ways to not have them overlap so much. I was here for Tarina and Saru. I'm here for Talin and Tendi, and I'm here for Michelle and Zero. Apparently, I just really like cute Vulcan girls with aliens.
I love it.
I like I yes, it is taking up a lot of her character, but there's such a sweetness with these two. And I mean, I'll talk more about Zero when we get to talking about them, but they were one of my favorite characters in the first season, except for the fact that they didn't know what to do with them. And in this season, they've given them a plot, and a lot of that plot is revolving around the want to touch, the want to be corporeal. And part of the want to touch for a lot of people, not me, is the want to specifically touch other people. So I think that's what a lot of that is coming from. Is that the best plot? No, but especially for teenagers, it's understandable. And they're sweet, so I'm here for it.
Nice. Love it. Eric?
I love Majel. I loved her from the moment I saw her. And or we met her. I saw her. That sounds so romantic.
It was very
You're like
romantic.
zero.
I like her dynamic with the crew. She is very placeholder Gwen, but you know what? I didn't think of it at the time, and I don't know if that's a failing on my media literacy, but I enjoyed her. I like that she was there to keep the gang sort of in line while Gwen was out, and I look forward to them, like sort of. I don't know if they butt heads, but I want to see them interact, like Gwen and Majel. So I don't know. I just really liked her. I thought she was a cool character. I like that she's the one who went to check in on Gwen when she was going into her I was gonna say suite, into her room,
Quarters.
her
Yeah.
quarters. And then her bringing it up to the command structure. She's everything I didn't know I wanted for like a new member of this crew. And I like the way she's being portrayed, and I can't wait to see more of her.
Yeah, same. I really like Majel. I really liked the Voyage Home cover up of the ears. I thought that was brilliant. Her hair is amazing. I like that they're showing, we don't know how old she is, but I think that she's relatively young. That, and maybe she's not like fully in tune with logic, quick. She definitely has a bit of an emotional side. She's a bit sassy. And I like seeing that in a Vulcan, that she's not just like a straight up Spock or a Tuvok, right? That we get it kind of more young, like what Spock was like when he was a kid, a little bit maybe. I really like that, and I'm totally here for Zero Mijel, because I think there's also like I don't know, it's just another way of showing like love comes in all forms, right? Like there's kind of this mental connection, and even though Zero isn't corporeal, that that there's just like there's you can connect with people no matter what, and I kind of love is love, like, and I love that a lot, and I do hope we see more of it and see where it goes.
Her sassiness reminded me of Valeris from Star Trek 6.
Yeah, she is.
Oh,
a little bit of a
1000%.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I dig that. And, I do wonder how much of a factor Zero having a new body is going to factor in, like, how Michelle feels about it, if they're going to kind of tackle that a little bit, because I don't know. I feel like Michelle kind of just saw Zero for Zero being a Medusan. Not that not that they're not a Medusan now, but I don't know. I'm really, really curious to see how they're going to tackle this. So let's talk about Jankum real quick, because Jankum also is kind of like doing his thing. He's like really taking the engineering thing seriously, even though I don't think he likes too much having to put on like the nice smile facade. But I do think that he's learning a lot. Like, I love seeing how excited he got, when he saw the warp core. But then throughout like the season, we see old Jankum, come out more and more. What's it called? Percussive maintenance.
Percussive maintenance.
Percussive maintenance comes out, and he kind of just starts letting the Tellarite come out more and more. And I really liked Jankum's progression this season, even though, again, kind of like more background than anything. But I want to get your guys' takes. What do you think about Jankum so far, Hawk?
Jankum, yeah. I mean, I love Jason Mantzoukas. Some of the funniest. He's done some of the funniest characters in television, and like in the past few years. Adrian Pimento, God. Jacob is a good kid's character in that. I don't think I find it as funny as some of them, some others do. I like Jankum. I love that. I love the episode where with the bit with the hand and that, and the force field and that, and getting remote controlling it to open the door. That was great. But not the most standout character for me in the show, unfortunately. Always there with the kind of the sarcastic word, gripe and that. But yeah, I got no problem with Jankum.
All right, Giraffe.
I really like Jankum in this season too. I feel like he learned a lot more. Like, he obviously knows more. Again, that's not his job. It's like he ended up being an engineer because he had to.
Yeah.
And I feel like he
yeah.
really grew and developed, and I like the fact that he knows how to go back to percussive maintenance when you need to, which is we've seen Scotty do that
Oh yeah.
all the time. Like banging on stuff. I like when he uses his hand to escape and he remote control that. I thought it was really funny.
Yes.
And really brilliant, also a very good idea. Chakotay was like impressed. I think Jacob is the also a slow burn, he definitely has way more to offer than what he's doing right now, but he's also one of the character that had a back story. He had another life, and
Yeah.
I think he's like Rock. He's just appreciative to be in a place where they don't get abused and thrown around and almost killed every 10 minutes. Like he's happy to be in a stable place and fair. It just Dal wants like crazy, which
Tracks.
we all have that friend.
Yep.
Again.
MC.
I've always liked Jankum. I do like him more this season than I did last season. I think that he has really kind of slid nicely into being in Starfleet. Like with Rock, not surprising that Rock took to being in Starfleet like a duck to water. Jankum, a bit more surprising, which makes it more interesting to have Jankum be very much like the engineer, wanting to impress people. I don't think that he did a whole lot in the first 10 episodes, but I hope to see him do more.
Yeah. Eric.
I don't really remember him in the season, to be honest. Like, he did the hand thing in the second episode or third episode or something, and I like that he was trying to be polite at the beginning and then was fighting that. Like, I was hoping that would happen more throughout the season, but then he went back to percussive maintenance, which I don't necessarily like, but that's because of the Prodigy game, where that's all he did, and
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
it was sort of annoying. But you know what? I like Jason Mantzoukas, so Derek.
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 I have to
Derek.
say that watching the show in English, there are two people I'm very happy to find their original voice back, and it's Rocktack, who's, I mean, all the voice actors like did an incredible job, let's be honest, but I feel they really nailed like Dahl's voice or Gwen's voice, but Rocktack and Jenkum, I think because of their weird way of speaking in the show,
Yeah.
I was very glad to get back to the English version.
I really like what Giraffe said about like Jacob liking stability because he even though he is playing polite, like he's happy. He just got to see like a quantum slipstream drive. Like I think he wanted to get involved and like go experiment on that thing and like get his hands dirty, right? And then he's thrust onto the damn Infinity, which like his head launched, but that's another story. So when Dahl's like, by the way, I know this thing crashed, but we need you to not get it up in the air and turn it into a time machine. He's like, one, this sucks, but two, this is what I do, so I'll do it. But we need like Dr. Aaron's help. I really liked all that. All the little things, like I like him, like kind of like we were talking about how Murph is comic relief, like Jankum is comic relief. The whole thing in episode 10 when they're at the door, there's just something really great about when he turns like his arm into like the burner and he's gonna break through the door. I don't know, something got me about that. It's one of the first pictures I posted on Twitter from Jankum. I don't know, I went from completely hating that character to loving him. So I hope 11 through 20 more Jankum as well. Let's move on to our giant, beautiful, not giant, small, actually, purple blob that we all love, Murph. Not a whole lot on Murph, even though Murph actually has a lot to do, but he can transform to swim, which is awesome. Jillian the whale can understand him, and he's just kind of still cute as over. Oh, and Wesley chose to speak to Murph out of everybody.
Murph gets you to know the secret.
Murph gets to know the secret. They try to stick a comm badge on him. It fails miserably. It was brilliant. Hawk, what do you think about Murph so far this season?
Yeah, it's there's not a lot to say about Murph other than he's just completely cute. He's an absolute wild card, for every episode he's in and that. And yes, for some reason, actually it makes sense in that because if you're trying to be low key and dropping very subtle hints so that the loom doesn't find you through time and space and that, you probably going to communicate your message to Murph in that because it's
Talk to the one person who doesn't understand.
He'll understand. It's just going to be harder
Right.
for other people to understand him and that. Yeah, it's just adorable. So, yeah.
Nice.
Murph.
Every time I laughed, it was because of Murph. Like in this, I was not really on board with like the metamorphosis of Murph in season 1. Now I'm just, I don't know. That's how he looks. I'm fine with it. The Pokemon thing where he becomes like a mermaid. I was like, sure, why
I
not?
loved it. Loved it.
Listen, it's just like at this one, I'm just like, why not? But the whole operation, what is Murph saying, just cracked me up because you just getting onto this now. And I like Rock Tag because like I've tried. I've nobody cared, but I tried and I failed. And they all think they can do better than Rock Tag, which is funny. I also like when they put when he finally talk just gibberish and just yell Saturday and just run around and you see them run after him like in the background.
Okay,
Like,
no BS. Like when that happened, for some reason, I just like imagined like an old man running in his underwear like down the hallway.
1000%. I
It's
think there's a
just-
moment like Janeway is talking and you see them like run behind Murph
Right,
like in the
100%.
background, and I was
Yeah.
like, I can't. Like that was so funny. I like the fact that he's just like again like fighting for no good reason. Yeah, I think it's a very good character. It's just very funny. The fact that Wesley Crusher chooses to talk to him, I think is very, very cool because the melanoid worm comes from Wesley Crusher in TNG.
Mhm.
So he's the one that like gets insulted by that name. I think I don't remember exactly, but I think it's cool that he's just talking with him and he's the one who understands him. Also, I love how not mad, but like obfuscated Dahl is that Murph gets to get the message and not him. And I'm like, fair. For once, fair. I get you. Why is the worm getting messages from the future or whatever and not, Gwen? Like, this is insane. But no, I think it's Murph is a very good comical relief in this first half of the season. Let's be honest, they gave him something to do. He's doing it well. He's part of the plot. He takes to talk. He gets to Spock and like just talk with the whale. It was perfect.
Nice. MC.
I have really grown attached to Murph. This I know, like a lot of people, like I really love like the original Murph, and it kind of like for the last bit of season 1, it was kind of hard to get used to the Murph as like a little being that can run around. And I think they've really figured out what to do with him, and especially because he's not acting like a child, really. I mean, he's still a child, but
he's still
not
very much a child.
He's not a baby though. And that was kind of the thing that happened a lot in season 1, is that, it was, this Murph, like you could actually see him joining Starfleet. I could see him joining Starfleet more than I could see Dahl joining Starfleet. I like
Murph
his
is like the Yaphet, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I love the transformation. Like
Yeah,
that he was so cute when he like the Murph maid.
Murph made hashtag.
And it's kind of just like lying on top of Jillian the whale. Like that was so adorable. And the fact that he can transform so quickly for swimming makes me think it's like, oh, do you know what? I bet you that Murph could transform back into his worm form if he really wanted to. It's just that
Ooh.
he's never wanted to.
Yeah.
It I mean, as cute as he was, like there wasn't a whole lot that he could do. And the whole Wesley, like people have talked about Wesley talking to him already. The one thing I will point out is the fact that, like R2D2 before him, apparently Murph has a really dirty mouth.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I almost swore. I love Murph so much. Murph is like a Pokemon mixed with my 2-year-old, and it's just amazing. There are times when I see Tala just like doing things. I'm like, how do you know how to do this? And that's what it's like watching Murph. When Murph was running around with the communicator and just randomly spitting words, that has happened to every parent of a 2-year-old. Like
Mhm.
right before they start speaking or right when they're learning, and you're like, okay, if you gave them swords, they would be Murph right then at that moment. Um, I love the transformation. The Murph made, as MC said, was such a sweet moment for this little bundle of chaos. So seeing it was so nice, and I don't have anything to add about the Wesley. Everyone nailed it on.
Can't spell.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Can't
Yeah.
spell. Yeah,
Like
that's
my
okay.
spell.
2-year-old.
That's all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
I don't have anything that I could say that you guys didn't already said, so I'm just gonna move on to the next character because I love Murph and I love Murph's transformation. My daughter still does not. I don't think she's very happy. She's like not watching the show anymore. I think that's partly the reason she stopped watching. I'm a little sad.
Oh,
But Caleb is watching, so you know there's a trade-off. Let's talk about Rock Talk, who, you know, speaking of struggles, like she's struggling this season because she wants to be that kind of model Starfleet officer. Again, in my opinion, I think she maybe should already be an officer. And she has to deal with Dahl and his crap. And, you know, she keeps getting roped into the gang's issues because she, you know, she's a good friend, as any good friend does. Yeah, but you know, she's also the smartest one among all of them, right? Like she was alone for all those years, became basically like a Dr. Aaron. Also like awesome seeing Dr. Aaron on the show again.
So you want to build a time machine?
So you want to, yeah, it's so good. Yeah, so kind of my rant over that because I think she should already be an officer. Cetacean Ops is awesome. Thoughts on Hawk?
She should be an officer, but you know what? She's happy where she is. You know, she's happy being in the classroom lecturing, and
That's
you know,
true. Yeah.
on how, you know, to stop triples from multiplying. Yes, she is incredibly loyal to her friends, and that to the point where, you know, they're dragging her away from her dream because, like, honestly, this is her dream. You know, yes, she knows how to be alone because, you know, during that whole experience and that she was alone probably for like decades in her, you know, in studying. Um, so but at the same time, that, you know, that coupled with like the life that she had led before and that she needs her friends as much as they need her, which is an unfortunate kind of, you know, uh yin and yang. It's a reality that she lives with and that. But one of the cutest things was like when they were trying to figure out how to get Murph to be understood, but you know, and Murph was afraid of the water and that. And what does Rock do? Rock takes Murph in her arms and that, like you would a toddler, you know,
Yeah.
and takes him for his first swim. Uh, eh, I'm hoping we see more. I'm trying to remember the back half of the season and that, like how much actual Rock we got. You know, I don't want to see her pushed in the background. You know, I want to see more development with her. And yes, the station ops is awesome. You know,
Yeah. Draft.
I think Rock arc is a slow burn in this season, so everything she does, everything she says is important to Rock, and she's being a bit relegated. I mean, Dolly's like, she's so smart, she's so incredible, like look at her doing the thing, like, which I really like because she's very respected by her peers, but I think compared to the others, she lived an eventful life before ending up on Tars Lamora, and she's tired. The girl wants routine. The girl wants wants to be in the lab. Like, leave her alone. But I would just say she definitely will come to more in the second half of the season. So I'll pass for that.
Nice. MC?
Yeah, I agree that we don't get a whole lot of Rock. There's very much kind of this slow burn with her. Rock is one of my favorite characters. So it was a little disappointing that I didn't feel a lot of her presence, and it makes me feel better to hear that she kind of does more in the back half. Yeah, no, I always smile when Rock, talks. And the only thing I liked in the episode with the holograms is that the two Rocks got along.
Yes. That was a great moment. They're all battling each other, and the two Rocks actually figure it out.
Eric.
I love Rock as well. She is one of my favorite characters as well. As everyone else has said before me, should she be an officer by now? Yeah, I think she's smart enough too. But like Rutherford, she just hasn't asked for a promotion. So she's like one of those people. She's humble. She wants to do the work, and I respect that. She's like, and of course she doesn't want to deal with anyone's BS because she just wants to, she wants to do her thing. She wants to earn her position, and I feel like that's what I feel for her. She wants to earn the promotion. Like, she's smart. We know she's smarter than everyone, but she wants to gain that. And she's like that friend who would be upset if you asked them to bury a body, but she would have a plan. Like, she would be the one.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
So I love her, and I do hope we get more of. Well, Jeff said we're getting more of her, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in the second half.
Yeah, I love Rock. I love everything with Rock and Murph. I want to see her, like, I feel like she's going to get promoted at the end of the season. Like, some of them might too. I feel like she's going to, or get like put into proper Starfleet Academy. Like, she deserves it. And I really hope that we see that. I can't wait for 11 through 20, but like, she's great. And like, there were times like I was a little bit, okay, I get that you're trying to be the model student, but like, your friends need your help. Like, stop complaining for a minute and just help them. Like, you're not gonna get in that much trouble. Like, it's okay. But I also understand her point of view, because she really wants to earn this, and I sympathize in that sense. So can't wait to see what happens with the next bit of episodes. Let's finally talk about Zero. I think maybe whether you like it or not, the highlight of the season and one of the better episodes thus far, as we go into the back half of these first 10, becoming corporeal via this weird bioengineering world. I actually didn't quite understand. We were trying to get through these episodes quick. And what I think just like a really beautiful episode. As we mentioned above, also getting flirty with Miguel. Thoughts, Hawk?
I did like that episode, but it reminded me of like with Star Trek Insurrection, the Baku, and that, and like one of the best moments was Geordi in that, like when he got his sight back and that. But it also reminded me, it's like he said, who knows if it'll last and that. And so Zero getting a body for the first time in that, and them being able to experience sensations like all at once, and that it was sweet and endearing, and that I would, I don't know if they really kind of emphasized how much they kind of missed that experience in the first season and that, but it's really been kind of the dominant theme for the character's arc in that this one. So I just worry about like what happens in the back half of the season, and that it's a major change of appearance for the character too, which people kind of reacted badly when Murph changed shape and that.
I
So
thought about that.
yeah, it's like is it the same way? Because I do like the the look of Zero, with the casement and the metallic arms. I think it was a really kind of, I love the character design. So I'm wondering what happens in the back half as far as their story, and the connection with Magellan that they're very obviously forming. I'd like to see what's going on with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Giraffe?
I think for me, the corporeal longing of Zero came a little bit out of the left field. I was like, oh, that's what they want? Okay. I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know it was this important. I realized like the encasing, the bubble was very important, and they really want to make sure that this was safe for everybody. But the body thing, I don't remember it from season 1, so I was, oh, okay, new character development, let's go. I really like the episode of the corporeal planet, or I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
I thought it was just beautiful. Like they have incredible design. We get the new Zero, was gorgeous. I love Magel's design. I feel the character design in the show is just gorgeous. We didn't talk about this, but when the Valna cat just light up,
That's so
it's
cool.
Yeah.
it's so
Mhm.
beautiful. The character design is gorgeous. The planet also was very interesting and very, very beautiful. After the run, I feel after Discovery, they should all known that. I was like, oh, people doing runs in a weird planet. I was like, something bad is going to happen. So, it was kind of, I saw that like miles away, and I need to rewatch that. I rewatched that episode a lot because when I watched the full season, I wanted to go back to this one. And I think same than Rock Tag, I think the Zero arc like takes another way of reading in the second part of the season.
Mhm.
If I may. So I know that I really liked the episode when I watched it. I was really into it. I loved the design. I think that it was very interesting to see Zero experimenting with feeling, because we always have these characters experimenting with with like mental feeling, and they're experimenting with sensations. And I thought it was really interesting to have this conversation of how do we feel with our senses. But yeah, beautiful design, gorgeous design. I think most people, the French Tricky really liked it, so
Nice.
I
Cool.
don't think people will be negative about it.
I don't think so either. No. MC.
I feel that Zero in their corporeal form reminds me of the Kaminoans from Star Wars, and I
Yes.
love
So much.
because it's such a good look. Like I said earlier, Zero was one of my favorite characters in the first season, but one that I thought was underutilized. So I really like how much attention they're getting this season. It makes sense to me that the want to be corporeal is coming up as an issue now rather than the first season, because in the first season everybody's just coming together. You've got this group of outcasts that are kind of like feeling their way around each other, and now they're a family, and they're now amongst other people too, so they're a part of the world, but Zero always feels separated from all of that. So I can understand that. And I also think that Zero has been on this, while it might not be about being corporeal, Zero has definitely been on this journey to fit in. That came up in the Borg episode. Had another example, but it just like immediately went out of my brain. But yeah, I think that being corporeal is a big part of that. I do think like the second they got on that planet, I was just like, oh, they're gonna try to kill Zero somehow.
Yeah, right. I thought this was going to be so much darker. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like the thing is, they do try to kill him, but it's different in that the killing or the almost, it's like, we don't want you dead, but we want you to experience near death.
Yeah.
Because it's like a Russia. They're basically playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
And I already said this in our chat, but I freaking cried when we got the group hug with Zero in the middle, and it was like the biggest emotional reaction for me of anything. That's a lie, because Wesley happens. But it is up there as one of the biggest emotional reactions that I had during this season, and it is certainly the most positive one. Spoilers. So I like this development. I'm interested to see where it's going to go, because I mean, I've talked to Giraffe enough to know that something is going to happen. So, yeah.
Nice. Eric?
I don't have much to add other than what everyone else has said. I do love the new form. I will miss the old form, but I really like the Kaminoan look. They talk like a Kaminoan already, so it's sort of just like hand in hand. Yeah. So that was such a beautiful episode. The one focused on that the bioengineering world. Gorgeous vistas, and it's not about that, but just an amazing.
I mean, yeah,
it's an amazing episode. It's probably, I think it's my favorite episode in the first half. Yeah, that's probably my favorite episode in the first half. I loved when Majel on the planet with Wesley, their connection was the reason why they got to save Majel. I love that. I thought that was very cute. It's I like the relationship a lot too, and I look forward to everything in the second half, like everyone else said. Yeah.
This is my favorite episode of the first 10. I just thought it was beautiful. I actually am, even though I'm fully on board with Zero getting a body, it's taking me a little bit to adjust to the new character a little bit, like just because we're so used to the ball. So we just have to, like, this is Zero, and that's totally cool. I loved it. I just thought everything about how they thought about, like, the set design, and even though it's not a set, but like the art direction was gorgeous. The crowns that they wore were so beautiful, and how those crowns are what was used to get the big giant, it almost looks like a stingray, to come down and eat them. I thought that was really beautiful, and one of my favorite moments is as they're flying inside this thing's mouth, Zero is feeling all of that and just looks to Doll and loving it. It's just such a cool way for them to show Zero, showing that they can feel these things for the first time, and I just thought it was so incredibly well done. Yeah.
Anybody thought of Ahsoka during that scene?
No, but I see it now. But
oh yes,
yeah. I also, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I saw that, the only thing I was thinking of was I don't know, it was played Demon Souls in that, but it reminded me of the Storm King.
Oh, okay. Going back to, because this has to do with Zero, I really like the moment too where Mijel and Tysus are gonna leave Wesley's planet, and Tysus is like, you sometimes you have to make the tough decisions and follow, and Mijel's like, well, I'm going to go find Zero, and that tough decision is taking off my comm badge and disobeying orders because it's the right thing to do right now. And I really, really like that. So I can't wait to see what happens between these two. We're off of the ragtag kiddos, and we're on to Admiral Janeway and Voyager. So all Janeway wants is her Chipotle back. And Edward, that's Karen's name for him, and I will not let it go. And Edward freaking Jellicho is just being a curmudgeon-y old Badmiral. And again, he's not a Badmiral. He's actually, just like on the Enterprise, just doing his job. It's just not a fun job. She has to deal with Doll and the kids messing up, Jellicho breathing down her neck, collapsing one of the only ways, that wormhole, to get Chakotay back, and then at some point just says, to hell with it, and goes full macrocosm, tank top Janeway, Thoughts on her arc in these first 10 episodes, Hawk?
Arc, I mean, like it's hard to say like arc when you're considering Janeway because Janeway is a fully
Fleshed out. Yeah.
fleshed out character. We've seen this before, and that yes, she has infinite amount of patience for these kids. You know, for all the nonsense that they put her through. You know, she's obviously she gives due deference to Jellicho, even though she knows he's wrong, and she's probably gonna end up doing what she wants anyways. Oh yeah, but then at the end, like a world-ending threat, and what does she do? Brings out the tank top and just fights, and that's her. That's her in those situations. She fights. I there's not much more I can say. It's amazing that they brought Kate Mulgrew back in like in the way they did last year. In this, we're getting our old Janeway
We're
back.
getting her back. I love
We
it.
got her back for this season.
Yep. Dref.
It's the highway of the Janeway. I mean,
Yeah.
she was Janeway, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and also that's another character I cannot hear in another voice, to be honest.
Oh, I can't imagine. That had to be really weird.
No.
Yeah.
But she was voiced by the actor who voiced Voyager, so I also saw Voyager in
Oh.
French. So yeah,
That's actually cool. The continuity there, though. Okay. All right. MC.
Okay. The Duras sisters were making such a big deal out of Janeway in the tank
It's
top.
my fault.
And it's your fault. And then when I actually, I did watch the preview. I did see her already, but then actually seeing her in this one, and I mean, I of course seen her in Macrocosm, but seeing her in this, I was reaffirmed my queerness. Now, if I could make a request for season 3, if we could just get her in that white tuxedo that she wore in Voyager. But no, I love Janeway in this season so far. My favorite bit is first when she calls back to the 3 rules that she gives to Naomi Wildman. And it's funny because we were at Trek Long Island. Those 3 rules got brought up.
They did.
And we actually played that clip. So when she said, I only have 3 rules, I was like the Leo pointing meme about it. And we're going through a transwarp underwear.
Edward, I can't hear you.
Oh my God. Yes, I love that. And I loved her going, full Kate Rambo down on the planet with the phaser rifle and the tank top and basically chewing out Wesley Crusher like that. Oh, chef's kiss. Like, seriously, Janeway in Prodigy is, I think, my favorite Janeway. And I mean, I am not somebody who disliked Janeway in Voyager, but I think that some of the questionable decisions that Janeway does make, because she does kind of, go up and down so much that, Kate Mulgrew actually decided that Janeway must be bipolar, which, I am fine with that because, like to have some bipolar representation. But she seems to be on better meds now. She's nice and evened out, and I like that.
Nice.
she's older.
Yeah,
That's
she's older.
what
wiser.
we all
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, Janeway tank top. We're happy. I'm happy she gets to meet Wesley. She was real Janeway. Start a list of everything she's gonna blow up. Let's go.
Love it. Love it. Eric.
It's funny because after season 1, I was like, how are they going to have Janeway be part of these kids' lives in the second season without it being like a mirror of what happened in season 1? And I love the way that she's in season 2. Like she's amazing. I agree with MC. This might be my favorite portrayal of Janeway. Like it's like watching 7 of 9 in Picard. Like the evolution is just like amazing. Like it fits so perfectly, and like to this already fully realized character to just add on top of that. the phone call breaking up killed me. I died laughing when that happened as well. Like it was so funny. And then the tank top sequence, like her trying to blow up everything, bringing the Voyager down into the atmosphere to shoot at the time rates. I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's so cool. She's so cool. And then yeah, her chewing out Wesley. Oh man, so great.
I gotta say, like, I think my favorite Janeway moment from the season is the fact that like they totally made a Voyager joke with what Draft's saying about like how many things is she gonna blow up, because that shuttle did not have quantum torpedoes aboard it, and she was like, "Yo, Tysus, I'm about to take this shuttle out. Put some quantum torpedoes on there, please, because I'm gonna blow some crap up." And she did. There were like 4 quantum torpedoes that came out of the butt of that thing, and I was just like, she's got unlimited torpedoes because she's Admiral Janeway. Kate Mulgrew is at her finest. What I loved about this too is obviously it's animation, but the animators did such a good job of like when she's in the shuttle and like carrying a phaser rifle, of getting her physicality right from like the way that she carried herself in Voyager. It's so well done.
Tom Paris taught me that.
Tom Paris taught me that. I selfishly I know that this is all about the kids, but I selfishly want a lot more Janeway than some of the other characters on this show. So, I mean, I could just be like, Edward, Edward, kill it. Oh my God, it was
The other joke that she made. I'm gonna take my dirt water and go. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God. Let's talk about Wesley Crusher, Time Lord extraordinaire. Y'all said it, Karen said it. At some point he should have just made a TARDIS joke at some point, bigger on the inside.
Why he made enough Doctor Who jokes.
I know, right? In all seriousness though, what did we think about this reveal of him being the mysterious benefactor? Probably the fact that he's Future Man and not Daniels, and him kind of inserting and kind of fixing this timeline. Hawk.
That's just amazing. Yes, I've responded with a WTF as soon as like he appeared on screen, because I did not know this was coming. Thank you, Giraffe, for advising us to skip past credits, so that we didn't get spoiled, because this was this came out of left field for me, and I was totally grateful for it, man, because like it was a joy seeing him at the kind of the height of his powers, and that as one of the travelers, and yeah, probably being Future Man. I mean, because the last appearance we saw of him was Picard, the end of Picard's season 2, and it was pretty much blink and you'll miss him moment, just.
And we don't know where that is in his timeline.
Exactly. And it was just tacked on. This was fully integrated into, him fixing a very, very, very broken timeline. I loved his explanation of it, and the horror of seeing like, what was happening in that, a big breach in time, and that, and the loom coming out to eat everything. Not only that, but like, do you remember how depressed he was at the end of TNG? And it's like, to see him maniacally happy and probably a little half crazy at this point, but even still, still Wesley Crusher. It was the highlight of the season for me.
Nice. Giraffe.
So far.
Yeah.
So far.
I had to wait so long for you guys to get there. And I just was, please go to watch episode 9. Please go to watch episode 9, because I wanted to see everybody's reaction.
Not to be confused with episode 9 of Star Wars. I'm sorry, I had
What episode 9?
I'm sorry.
I don't know
you,
that,
Emerson.
but
Thank you.
I did not expect him to show up at that moment. I was fully convinced it's gonna be Chakotay. Why not? And that it was something to do with Agent Daniels or something like that, but. Yeah, I was so blown away, and I think it's great because the finale of Picard like left me very, not the finale of season 2.
Season 2,
left me hungry.
Uh-huh.
I was like, well, I want to know what he's doing. And so I'm so glad he showed up. And it's also because he wants to save the universe of his mommy. And we're like,
Mom lives in this
"Aw,
universe.
he's the better son. We've always known. We've been new." I like that he's half crazy. I just watched like the last season of Doctor Who. I'm not a Whovian. I know nothing of Doctor Who. I never went through a season until this one. And I like that it definitely has the vibe. It has the Time Lord vibe too, for what I know. And there was a reference to Star Trek in Doctor Who. So I'm like, crossover? When? Let's bring Wesley Crusher in this.
There has been several in comics.
Yeah, the comics are great.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Will Wheaton would be down.
Yeah.
And I like the character. I like that he's in his thing and he's tinkering with stuff, and you don't really know if he's like crazy or not, but we're in because that's Wesley, and we're like, he cannot be totally crazy, right? It's gonna be fine, right?
He's joyful. Yeah.
It's very yeah, but he's
Joyful,
also,
bordering
I
on
mean,
a little
hey, he was
manic,
like ready
but
to let
yeah.
Magil die. Like straight
Oh,
up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I love the Gary 7 like office. Let's be honest. We'll talk when it was. I was so happy there was like they were going all like supervisor and like Picard season 2 and all this. I was very happy about this. But I think it's a great addition, and yeah, I'm gonna shut up.
Fair. MC.
I am so conflicted about this. Let me say it like that. I love having Wesley back. And because I'm somebody who always actually liked Wesley. It might be because I was a little kid when I watched TNG and I had kind of had a crush on him. And when I had no idea that he was in this, and with all of Giraffes, get to episode 9, the first thing I did upon seeing Wesley is text her in all caps, Wesley? And so I'm really glad to have him back. And I did love that, like, the most Wesley line is, I have to save this universe. My mom lives here. Like, seriously, it's just perfect. But, and like, this is a really big but. I'm not sure I love Wesley as the Doctor, because it's not Wesley the Time Lord. Wesley's Doctor Who, like, just like flat, like straight up, like so much. And that's not who Wesley is. And I mean, I know there's a lot of people who, in Wesley's appearance in season 2, were kind of critical of the fact that he came off as more Will Wheaton than he did Wesley. And in this, for me, he came off as more, I would say, like
Smith.
Matt Smith. Yeah, he's very Matt Smith. And I don't know. Well, I'm actually pretty sure a lot of it was written in, because I picked it up in the trailer, and in episode 1, like the whole timey-wimey thing that is in episode 1. There's a lot, and there's Doctor Who references in the stuff that how Wesley acts. Like, there's one point where he's doing the I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, which is David Tennant. And so, like, going from like this manic joyfulness to like this very dark, I'm gonna have to sacrifice somebody. That's very Doctor. And I'm not saying that it can't be Wesley too, but it was very jarring considering what we know of Wesley before that. And he was so Doctor that after I watched a couple of minutes of him being the Doctor, I ended up getting into like a 15-minute conversation with Giraffe about the last season of Doctor Who and how we both, thirst after Ncuti Gatwa.
Ncuti Gatwa's so good.
It's so hot.
So good.
I can't wait to finally watch this season.
I
He's
haven't seen
also
the
so
finale
well
yet.
dressed. It's the first season where they're all wearing very good clothes. I'm
Mhm.
here for the
Yeah.
fashion.
It's beautiful. But yeah, that's what happened. It's like he was so Doctor that I wanted to talk about Doctor Who rather than watch Prodigy, which is what I was doing at the time. Granted, I can only concentrate on one thing at once, and if you have the chance to talk about Ncuti Gatwa being gorgeous, you talk about Ncuti Gatwa being gorgeous. But I don't think I would have been as upset about the whole Wesley being the Doctor thing if it hadn't been for what are the loom? Is that what they're called?
The
The
loom.
loom,
yes.
yeah.
They're the Reapers.
The
From the
Langolians.
But the thing is, the fact that Wesley is acting so much like the Doctor, the fact that the loom, the whole storyline with them is ripped out of the Doctor Who episode Father's Day felt very, very obvious to me, and it bothered me. And I hope it wasn't intentional, because I mean, like, there's a lot of. I mean, granted, like, Doctor Who's been going for what, longer than Star Trek.
A lot longer.
So, yeah. I think only like 5 years longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're getting up there a lot. So odds are that there's going to be an episode that crosses over with this. But Father's Day is one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes. I really like that one, and just the fact that Wesley was so doctory really kind of, it felt incongruous. And that's, yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that Wesley felt like Matt Smith. Like, I saw it and I was like, it's Matt Smith talking. It's crazy. That being said, I was really sad like a month or two ago when Will Wheaton posted his "I'm retiring from acting" post, and he had a big blog post about it, and it was very heartfelt, and he was talking about how he doesn't feel the joy in acting anymore, and the parts that are coming to him are sort of not what he wants. Like, they're all like guest appearances for him to be himself and stuff like that. He wanted roles with substance, something different. And then so I didn't expect to see him again, and I was really sad. And then I saw him, and this was like, oh, he's wonderful, he's back. And then he was the Doctor, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I didn't mind. He did the walking and talking thing that the Doctor does a lot. He did do a lot of the. It felt very doctory, especially Matt Smith doctory. Even that area in the end where they do the portal, that looked like the console of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was just sitting there, I was like, yeah, cool. Doctor Who fans, I don't mind. I loved it. I still loved it. I like that we got a little bit more. I feel like this is an earlier one. I don't think it's like I feel like the Picard cameo is a later version of Wesley. I don't know why it just felt like that for me.
100%. Yeah.
But I love this one, and I love his what was it, Mind Thoughts Space or something? What?
It's the name of
Space.
It's the name of the title. I put it in the intro.
Space
Thoughts.
time thoughts.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that he had that giant
too.
like thing at the end. I thought it was great. I hope we get to see more of him in the rest of the season, because I really like Time Lord Wesley.
Okay, so I love Will Wheaton. I think that he is a great advocate for mental health. I think he's a great advocate for, like, child actor advocacy and like what happens to child so like for him to show back up as Wesley in this episode, like I'm so happy for Will Wheaton that he's getting his flowers, because I think he absolutely deserves them. I think like more should have happened with Wesley early on. I like it. I like that this is what they're doing, and I want to preface that I like having Wesley back. My issue is that it's kind of the opposite of what people said about his cameo in Picard season 2. That to me felt like Wesley, like not Will Wheaton. This, the way that he chose to act this, one, hit it on the head, both of you, is way too Doctor Who for my liking. I like Doctor Who, but I don't need my Doctor Who and Star Trek to be like that on the nose. I also thought it was just a very Will Wheaton performance. Like I couldn't hear Wesley Crusher. I just kept on hearing Will Wheaton. And I do think there's a massive distinction between the two. It just didn't like the delivery didn't quite work for me. That being said, everything that happened, everything that he did, the fact that he's kind of the focal point of all this is awesome. I am here for it. I love all of the stuff, like don't look at your time stream, hold this, don't move, which again is a little bit on the nose for Doctor Who, but I thought it was cool. One thing that I absolutely love is that he's got an escape plan, and I don't know if anybody picked that up. His little safe room, in case this whole traveler thing doesn't work out, where he's got his human side of him still. He's got pads, he's got phaser rifles, he's got a model of the Enterprise E. He's still connected to his human side in case it's like, okay, I don't know if this really fits for me. And I thought that was maybe something people might not pick up on. The other thing, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the Coda trilogy of books, which is basically what destroyed the current Star Trek litverse to replace it with like the novels that are coming out now, it's a little bit of a love letter to that trilogy, right? The Loom are kind of like the Davidians in this. They're feeding on time, things out of time. Wesley trying to keep one universe intact is very much like the whole idea. Like Wesley is very much like the main character of the Coda trilogy, and trying to keep that like one main timeline intact. I think that they took from that a little bit, and I think that's really cool. So I'm wondering how much more in 11 through 20 they're gonna pull from that. So want to see where this keeps going. The performance didn't quite work for me, but I'm still so thrilled and happy that Will's getting his flowers.
And he got to say Narada incursion.
Yes. Yes. Let's wrap this up on Old Man Chakotay. Episode 10 ends with Wes sending them to wherever Chakotay is. The Protostar looks to be in a lot more rough shape than they found it in episode 1 of season 1. And Chakotay also looks like he's seen better days as well. Though, doesn't look bad with a beard. Where is this going in the back half, do you think, Giraffe? You're not allowed to answer this one.
I know, I was going to say, I'm passing.
I'm really not sure, but, in order to fix it, they're going to have to tell him the truth, because there's no way he's not, leaving that without a little bit of information from these kids, about why he has to do this. Honestly, it's a little hard for me to make predictions as to where it's going.
Yeah, fair. MC?
Shenanigans, both regular and time-based.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I honestly have no idea. I mean, yeah, they're gonna have to be honest with Chakotay, but like Chakotay has dealt with this kind of thing before. Like, I mean, it's Janeway. Like Janeway said, like she hates time travel because of how many times she's had to deal with it. So Chakotay's used to it too.
Yep. Eric?
Shenanigans is the right term there. It looks like the ship is way older than Chakotay. I don't know if that was only me who thought that, but he doesn't look super old, and that one looks
sandal mess you up.
I know, it goes everywhere.
I hate it.
That being said, Chakotay probably will recognize them. Like, I don't know how he wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
So that's going to be interesting. If they're truthful to him, it'd be a nice change, right?
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. My prediction is that episode 211 is going to open with the line, "My people have a saying," and it'll have a backstory.
No.
Oh no.
But no, actually, I'm really excited to see where this is going to go because kind of as I was alluding to back with Doll, I think that Chakotay is going to be a very important figure for Doll and Doll moving forward. As far as where they're going, yeah, I mean, like the timeline's messed up to all hell right now. Like there's got to be a little bit of like breaking of the temporal prime directive, as sometimes you need to do to get things back to where they need to go. So I'm stoked for the back half. I think I liked that cliffhanger a lot. Not that it's cliffhanger because you could just go watch episode 11 right now. I almost did, but I had to write the outline where I forgot.
It feels like a mid-season break. Like they would take a
No,
while.
it just they did a good job.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like we weren't supposed to binge the episodes.
So I'm happy that we're able to. I didn't agree with that when it was announced, but getting to do it, I'm happy we did.
Sorry, Canada.
Sorry, Canada. I'm going to skip final thoughts because I think we just gave our initial thoughts at the top of the show. So we're going to go right in the mailbag. We will go in reverse order. We asked our collective what story arcs in season 1. In season 1, you're hoping to have resolved, or what characters would you like to see by mid-season have their arcs kind of resolved in season 2? So reverse order would be Eric. If you can read Captain Meg's, please.
Captain Meg again. Woo. The biggest arc I'm really looking forward to seeing is how they play with the Diviner's character. How he was before the Solum War. It'll be interesting to see who he was. That's not really a resolution, but seeing Gwen meet the not dead pre-war Diviner will at least be interesting to watch.
Right on with that.
Yeah.
And then it gets forgotten about. So that's a little sad. But yeah. MC, can you read Troubles, please?
Trouble wrote, I'm interested in how they will incorporate the original Protostar crew and the nostalgic vibes, if any, it give with Janeway and Chakotay together again. I'm hoping that by the halfway point of the season, we'll have a clear storyline with a full understanding of the crew's purpose. I think Paramount Plus has struggled to give us that, but Netflix has both the budget and resources to fix that, especially with the time they had to develop this season.
But Netflix didn't develop this.
And yeah, it was still Paramount, my friend.
It's still CBS Studios, and yeah, we don't have a clear purpose quite yet. Or we have a clear purpose, but it's still very
No, we don't.
and confused. So, yep. And then Giraffe, can you take us home, please, with Tara's mailbag?
Tara wrote, I have no idea what to expect to start the new season. The only detail I am waiting for, hopefully it won't take 20 episodes, is the reunion of Janeway and Chakotay and their backstory to fill in the post-Voyager pre-Prodigy time. So, I just wrote a limerick to celebrate what might be coming, not hiding it because it's a speculation and there aren't really any spoilers to worry about. Here goes, Prodigy Season 2 preview. Captain Chakotay is missing in time, lost in a wormhole of the Protostar's design. Janeway's determined to she'll find him somehow with a prodigious young crew to help her now, and Voyager A to journey to time's front line.
Well done. That was very good, Tara.
Yeah.
Well done. That is going to do it for the back. No, not the back half. For the first half of our Prodigy season review. Join us next Thursday for our live premiere of our review of episodes 11 through 20. That'll be a fun one. We'll see you then. So for Draft, for Hawk, for MC, for Eric, I am Julian. Enjoy that ice cream pop. Live long and prosper, Mushroom. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.